Welcome to the April 2020 special edition CIECAST of How Our Industry is Addressing the Challenges Created by the Coronavirus. I'm Ed Weidman, Executive Director of CIECA. The Collision Industry Electronic Commerce Association, or CIECA, develops and promotes electronic communication standards that allow the collision industry to be more efficient. We also provide webinars like this one to help educate both members and non-members. Before we start the broadcast, and on behalf of CIECA's Executive Committee and Board of Directors, I would like to wish you the best as the world adapts to the unusual circumstances created by the coronavirus. We know these are turbulent times that impact your business and your employees. We hope you're in good health, and this broadcast can help as you find new and innovative ways to provide service to your customers. Thank you for your support of both CIECA and our industry. Over 750 people have registered for this webinar. During the presentation, there will be no communication between the participants and the presenters. The information provided today are the opinions and summaries of the speakers. We hope the information is helpful to you and your companies. The webinar will be recorded and posted on CIECA's website, so please feel free to share the content with those you know in the industry who weren't able to attend. Today, we have 5 highly respected executives from our industry who will be sharing unique things they have done to address the challenges created by the coronavirus. Our first speaker is Dan Risley, Vice President of Quality Repair and Market Development for CCC Information Services. Dan began his career working in a family-owned and operated collision repair facility in Chicago, Illinois, and has more than 28 years of experience in the collision industry. In his current role, he works closely with car manufacturers to understand and deliver products and services to meet their changing needs, including OEM certified collision repair programs, electronic parts ordering, and first notice of loss after an accident. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. I thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. You guys put together an outstanding lineup of speakers today, many of my colleagues. Before I start, first, I want to give my very best to everyone that's listening and their respective families, and a special reach out and call out to all those first responders, especially those in the medical field. Very quickly, I'm going to spend just a minute here talking about the current business climate, and then really quickly advance into what shops are doing, what the industry is doing. So I think this probably comes as no surprise to people if you're paying attention to the news. U.S. auto sales continue to drop. The most important thing on the slide, though, that's really relevant to everybody that's listening today, is the number of miles driven continues to fall. And we know, historically speaking, that when the number of miles falls, the number of accidents, of course, decrease as well, which means less work for everybody in the industry. It's important to note that, and it's a number that I think everybody should be keenly aware of as we move forward. This is kind of how my morning shapes up just about every day. In the upper left-hand corner there, you see an image, and I have more information being thrown at me, more so than any time in my life. Every day I'm learning about what's happening around the world, what's happening in the US, what's happening with this statistic, what's happening with this graph or this trend. And with all the information that's coming at us, I think it raises more questions than it does give us answers. And I think most of us, and I'll add myself into that bucket, you know, I'm finding myself looking for guidance, assistance, tips, basically we're at a crossroads. So where do we start to get that information to make some decisions for today as well as in the future? Something that CCC has done to help during this pandemic is we put together this small business resource website. So you can see the link at the bottom. It's basically an aggregation of the information that the federal government has provided. So if you're interested in SBA loans or finding more about the legislation, you can go here. But what's relevant on this slide to what CCC is doing is the one that says Collision Industry Foundation. Some of you are familiar with this group. On March 26th, the CIF made an announcement that they were allocating $100,000 to this fund to help the people in the automotive industry during this pandemic. Just 4 days later, CCC made an announcement they were going to match that. And we're going to also donate $100,000 to that fund to hopefully help everyone in the automotive industry. So it's not just specifically CCC customers, it's everyone. And I pulled out a great quote that talks, and it really makes me feel proud to be part of CCC, and it speaks to it, this quote. And the quote is something from post 9/11, and it says, when Americans lend a hand to one another, nothing's impossible. We're not about what happened on 9/11, we are about what happened on 9/12. And I think our small donation is one way that we're showing that we're going that extra mile, and we're hoping others will do the same. The last one is our CCC trends. Some of you are familiar with the works, great works of our famed Susanna Gotch. And Susanna continues to pull together resources and information and share that with the industry on a timely basis. As an information provider, we think that the one thing that we could provide that transcends anything else is information that's going to allow you to make some decisions about your business today and in the future. So please utilize these free resources. They're available to you, everybody on this call. So one of the questions that we continually ask ourselves, both personally and professionally, is what does the new normal look like? And what could that, how's that going to shape up? And I found this report from McKinsey & Company, and this fact for them very relevant. That is, consumers are recalibrating on spend, having experienced a new model of lower in-person and even higher virtual connections while learning new skills. And I'm going to relate that to two personal things very quickly. One of which is an experience I had with Dick's Sporting Goods, where I bought some items online. They sent me a link to my phone, and they said, when I arrive at Dick's Sporting Goods, because their facility is closed, click on the link, and a customer service representative will provide a contact-free experience and deliver the items inside my vehicle. It was outstanding customer service, and it's something that I think will carry forward with those sorts of models in the future. And then most recently today, I needed to get my prescription filled, and my allergist reached out to me and said their office is closed, but they'd be willing to do a Zoom online doctor's appointment. So I'm going to experience that for the first time. And those are the sorts of things that are going to happen in the collision repair space, and we're seeing trends of that now that I think will carry forward once the pandemic is over. So what are collision repairers doing to drive business, and what are they doing to assure customers that they care about their health and safety? I think the very first thing all of us need to do, it sounds probably very remedial, is to let everybody know that we're open for business. As you know, the federal government classified automotive repair as essential. I think not everybody in the public knows that. So I think you need to let your customers know, your insurance partners know, your vendors know, let them know that you're open. I think that's the basic jumping off point for all of us. A couple of adjectives here: customer friendly, support, innovative, positive, precise, and timely. And this is going to speak to some of the items I'm going to talk about that shops are doing to provide service. And as I go through these bullet points, I want you to kind of work along with me here and identify which one of those adjectives really applies to these things that I'm about to describe. The first thing is we're seeing a huge uptick in that contact-free customer experience. I told you I personally had some of those already. Increased use of technology, such as applications for photo estimating. Of course, this is not an infomercial, but CCC does have a product called Engage. There's many others out there. So photo estimating is on the rise. That technology is being adopted, and I expect that to continually rise for months and years to come. It allows people to access your business 24/7. I think that that is innovative and, of course, customer friendly. People are using electronic signatures for things such as authorization to start repairs, receipts for online payments, or receipt of online payments rather. Again, innovative, customer friendly. We had an MSO in Minnesota share a sign that they put on the front door of their shop, which to me would allude to being very positive. It said, when you arrive, call the number on the sign or ring the bell. We'll be right out to help you. Please feel free to remain in your car. Your health and safety is our #1 priority. That to me is a positive message and customer friendly. We're seeing an uptick in curbside estimates, curbside drop off and pickup, and then free home vehicle pickup and delivery. So again, customer friendly and absolutely timely. This is a quick screenshot of the CCC Engage product. Again, not an infomercial, but really speaks to the self-service model. So when your business is closed, you're really open, allowing customers to obtain a copy of an estimate and dialogue with you even when your shop is closed. And I think using this type of technology, photo apps, again, there's many out there, is it really shows in today's environment that you have concern for your employees and concern for your customers in terms of their health and safety. And as I mentioned earlier with my personal experiences, this sort of experience for self-service is a differentiated experience. Not everybody is doing it, and other consumers are experiencing it in other industries, and it's something that everyone should look to as we move into the future. And of course, tools like this really help you increase profitability, grow revenue, and notwithstanding the fact that it's convenient and very simple for the customer. What are shops doing regarding safety and health? Here's a couple of suggestions or things that shops are doing. There's staggered break times to eliminate work groups, steering wheel covers, sanitizing keys, sanitizing all exterior and interior touch points in the vehicle. All employees wear masks and gloves, maintaining distances of 6 feet, staggered employee shifts to reduce contact, technicians working on weekends to help families that have both families working, where maybe the children are home and you need to have somebody watching your children. So having those weekend shifts helps that work-family balance. And of course, parts and vendor deliveries after hours. How are shops marketing themselves? And I'll say more, we're seeing more target marketing and reaching out to customers in a proactive way. So blending that customer experience and the customer service side, what are they doing? The proactive outreach is, we have shops that are reaching out customers that they did their repairs 30, 60, 90, 120 days ago, calling on them, just checking on their well-being, checking on the repair of that vehicle, and letting them know their doors are open and they offer up different services, maybe perhaps pickup and delivery. And of course, you can also do that same sort of proactive outreach to any customer that you may have written an estimate for and you didn't do the repairs. So again, driving maybe customer pay and engaging with the customers on levels that you've never engaged before, or maybe didn't spend as much time engaging for in the past. 2 takeaways that I want to share with anybody that could be a CCC customer today. And it doesn't cost you anything, and it only takes you a few minutes of your time. And it could help drive revenue and drive customers to your door. Number 1, all CCC customers appear in the shop locator called carwise.com. It's a consumer-facing website. We have millions of people that hit that website a year. If you're a CCC customer, you appear there. Fill out that profile. You could do that within CCC One. The second thing you could do is there's another area to, it's called Grow My Network. And if you input your information there, that's an opportunity for you to reach out to insurance carriers that CCC does business with. So if you want to do business with insurance carriers, a lot of carriers use Grow My Network to look at different shops in the area for potentially adding them to their DRP. Lastly, as we bring this to a close, if you have any questions or you're interested in some of the promotional offers from CCC, you can go here and identify who your teammate is or your account representative at cccis.com/team. And I'll close with this quote. It's from my favorite president, JFK. And it has all to do about all the change that's happening in this industry and amongst us on the personal side as well. And that is, change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. And I'm hoping that CCC, as well as I, can help play a part in the future of the automotive industry and making it a better place for everybody. Thanks, Ed, for the opportunity, and I wish everybody well.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is Shan McMillan, a second-generation auto recycler from Cocoa, Florida, and is the owner of Cocoa Auto Salvage. After graduating from the University of Central Florida in 1997, she began working in various departments of the business and has been managing all operations for approximately 10 years. She is the immediate past president of the Florida Automotive Dismantlers and Recyclers Association and currently serves as the newest member of the executive committee for ARA. Welcome, Shan.
Thank you, Ed. So one of the advantages of being a small business is being able to make changes and adapt quickly, and boy, has a lot changed in 3 weeks. The first 2 weeks of March indicated that we were on track for an all-time record sales month for our full-service facility. That changed overnight, literally, once people started being laid off. We're close to Orlando, just about 30 minutes east of Orlando, and we have the theme parks and thousands of service workers that were laid off pretty early on, just about the time we were learning about social distancing. What we found was that with so many people out of work and bored, we had a higher than average entry rate for our U-Pull-It yard. We set up barriers around our sales counter and our sales people, but the social distancing guidelines and even the barriers were not respected. So we decided to temporarily close the U-Pull-It yard and not let any customers have access. At that same time, we closed the sales lobby for our full service yard. We're still 100% operational with full service sales, offering curbside pickup or shipping for retail customers. We do run 3 delivery trucks for our wholesale customers daily to all of Central Florida, including Orlando. We are requiring the customer now to prepay for their order unless they already have a charge account established with us. This way we can minimize contact for our drivers. They can just drop the part and go. If a customer needs any invoice adjustments, they just call their salesperson and we take care of it. Most customers are really understanding of these temporary changes. We're just all trying to work together to get through this time. In-house changes, we laid off 1 U-Pull-It counter person. We cut 2 non-essential employees back to 25 hours per week, and there's absolutely no overtime at this point. We're requiring employees to communicate via text or phone instead of face-to-face, again, just to limit the number of people coming into contact with one another. And we're limiting the number of people that have access to common production areas, and we sanitize everything regularly. So as far as sales are concerned, we continue to utilize many online platforms like APU Solutions, Parts Trader. We are part of the CCC network through Pinnacle, carpart.com, eBay, and so on. We are part of RCD, which is a transportation network where we trade parts with 33 other salvage yards in the Southeast United States each night, and that network is still fully operational. So if we don't have a part that our customer needs, we can usually have it the next day at the latest 2 days out. With less people on the roads, just like Dan alluded to, we all know that there are less accidents, less mechanical failures, so sales will certainly feel that. This slower pace is allowing us to take a closer look at our inventory. Is the description correct? Is all the damage indicated in the description? Has it been logged correctly? Are the images clear? We're utilizing the extra time to look at our settings with the electronic platforms so we can make sure that we're where we need to be and give it the attention that it needs if any changes need to be made. The entire state of Florida went on a stay-at-home order this past Friday. Up to that point, sales overall were off about 36%. We certainly expect this number to go up and for sales to dramatically decrease. We're going to give it a couple days here this week and plan to make operational and staffing adjustments as needed. As I stated, as of now, we are business as usual, selling parts and filling orders as they are placed. Extra time is spent on projects we don't typically have an abundance of time to do, like audits and maintenance. We are reaching out to customers, checking in with them to see how we can help, letting them know that we are here for them. I have more time than ever to work on my business instead of in my business, so I'm trying to take full advantage of that. We certainly expect things to get worse before they get better. Until we get people moving again and the stay-at-home orders are lifted, it's going to be rough. All revenue streams are down, including scrap, core prices, although we have not seen much of an adjustment in car prices at the auction yet. There's so much fear and uncertainty. ARA, which is the National Association for Automotive Recyclers, is communicating with our members daily on the latest updates regarding the virus and any new orders that may come in from either the federal or state level that they need to know about, things like the FFCRA for compliance. Also trying to inform our members about relief that may be available, like the SBA loans, and deciphering these things, which can be a lot to take on for any small business owner. And all of that information is also available on our website at a-r-a.org. So yes, for most of us, the goal is to make it to the other side of this. And when we do, there will be a lot of opportunity for recycled parts. We expect to see limited part availability from the OEs once we're back to business as usual, and we will be able to provide the component parts that they cannot. An ROE parts typically cost 40% that of a new part, which we think most Americans will be looking for value in their purchasing decisions. As an industry, we have historically done very well during times of recession and expect sales to be high in demand. So we just have to get through this together, take care of our employees, customer, vendors, each other, and appreciate the opportunities that are ahead for all of us. So I appreciate your time, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present here today. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Shan. Our next speaker is Mike Anderson, the former owner of Wagonwork Collision Centers, two highly acclaimed shops located in Alexandria, Virginia. Currently, he owns and operates Collision Advice, an industry research, reference, and consulting business. Mike is a sought-after speaker, author, and consultant who can discuss and teach on a wide range of topics and travels throughout North America instructing, serving on advisory boards and committees, and overall supporting our industry. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you to all of those that are attending the webinar today. And I echo all the comments that Dan Risley shared. Just a shout out and of appreciation and respect for all of our first responders and those in the medical industry. So thank you so much for having me today. So first of all, is what am I hearing? So as many of you know, I'm an industry consultant who gets the opportunity to work with shops all around North America, including Canada. And so kind of what am I hearing? Well, I can tell you that a lot of the shops in Alaska and Montana right now still have a big backlog of work, mostly because of hail and the snow and inclement weather. I talked to a guy in Macon, Georgia this morning. He said right now their next appointment is May 15th. I did talk to some shops in Minnesota that say they're booked out about a week. Now I have talked to shops, for example, in Baltimore, Maryland, upper state New York, and also Louisiana, where they are seeing work decline, and they're thinking their sales and claims count on cars to the doors down by about 50%. In addition, what else am I hearing? So far, a big shout out to the OEM manufacturers. It sounds like most of the parts depots, they had enough parts in stock in their distribution centers that so far, with a few exceptions, most people have been able to get parts. I think the biggest thing has been deliveries, whereas people are used to getting multiple deliveries every day. Now it seems like a lot of vendors or whether it's parts or paint manufacturers, et cetera, job distributors are only delivering like once every 2 days or one delivery a day. So far, with a few exceptions, most people are able to get parts. The exception to that mostly would be New York City, because they've been so hard hit by the coronavirus that a lot of the dealerships are closing down, which we understand. In regards to rental cars, asking people around the country and emailing all my clients, so far, sounds like the rental car companies have really stepped up. Most of the shops that I've spoken with said that Enterprise has done a great job of taking and establishing and staging Enterprise rental cars on the facility, as well as making sure they were really disinfected. So have there been some layoffs? Yes, I think Michigan has probably been the area that I've heard probably the largest layoffs at was Michigan. That seems like where I've heard it at the most. Most shops have kind of started cutting back some of their employees' hours if they're hourly to like 30 hours a week. And a lot of the shops say right now, though, they're still trying to hang on to their employees because they think when they get through this, there's going to be a lot of work. Now, what is everybody doing during this time? I think there's a lot of things that you can be doing as a collision repairer to find a silver lining in this. For example, if your spray booths need to have some maintenance done to them, see if you can go ahead now and take care of your spray booths. So if you see there's any air leaks in there, caulk up those seams, get the walls painted, change your filters. A lot of people are going through and doing 5S of their shops because there's not a lot of cars in their shop in some areas where they're not that busy. They're pulling all the cars out, pressure washing down the shop, servicing equipment maybe that hasn't worked. Another thing that a lot of shops are doing is they're going in and chasing their receivables. If you have outstanding receivables, that's like free money to you. So go into your management system, find out any receivables that are owed to you and chase those receivables, as well as any outstanding parts credits. It is my hope and I'd like to believe positively that everybody closes an RO and a management system when the vehicle leaves. But if you're not somebody that has a discipline with that, and you have open ROs, go ahead and try to go ahead and take and close those ROs out. Most shops are trying to go ahead and pre-order parts and get those into queue for any cars that are coming in so that they can make sure the parts are in order and they have a little bit of notice so they can get the parts delivered if there's staggered deliveries. In addition, a lot of shops are taking this time to also train. There are a lot of OEM certifications that require online training classes or e-learning modules, and a lot of shops are taking the time to go ahead and get those out of the way, as well as going ahead and reviewing SOPs that maybe their paint manufacturer offers, 3M or other similar companies. So a lot of people are also investing into the training as far as right now. Another thing is that a lot of shops that in the past maybe had not applied for a credit card where it's like 2% cash rebate back at the end of the year, because a lot of vendors are requesting credit card payments now to exchange any delivery of checks. They're setting up those credit accounts so that they can align with a company like Spark Capital One or something like that, so they can get the 2% rebate back at the end of the year for their credit cards. Another thing that a lot of shops are doing is they're also going through their financials and they're analyzing what are nice to haves versus what are must haves. A nice to have might be somebody that cleans your office. A must have would be, for example, if you've got to subscribe to like a software solution for research and repair procedures. So that's kind of what a lot of people are doing. Now, what does the future hold? I got to tell you, I absolutely believe there is a huge silver lining to the coronavirus. And the reason I believe that is that I believe that what the coronavirus is doing right now is giving us insight into what our industry would have looked like 20 to 30 years from now. I think it's no secret that most of us know that claims counts were down last year about 2%. I have a saying that is lots of sales cover lots of sins. Lots of sales cover lots of sins or mistakes. I believe if you were to ask most collision repairers, they would say their sales were up last year. But I believe that was actually a little bit misleading. I believe sales were up last year because number one, severity was up. I also believe sales were up last year because unemployment was at an all-time low, as well as vehicle miles were being driven in mass amounts. So because of that, I think what happened was increased severity and more vehicle miles traveled actually masked or covered the fact that accidents or claims count was declining because of ADAS. And I think if you looked at any statistical data like Susanna got from CCC, that you would have saw that most, and also from our friends at Mitchell, I think that most of the statistical reports that you saw would have said that ADAS was only going to impact accident or claims rate by about 2 to 4% every year over the next 30 years. I believe what would have happened is, had this not have happened, a lot of shops would have found them in a lot of trouble in the future. Why is that? Because as claims count started declining, lots of sales cover lots of sins. A lot of shops were not paying attention to something that I think is very important from this day forward, and that is capture rate. And that is following up on those assignments that we receive from insurance carriers, or maybe it's a warranty claim from an OEM, or maybe it's a customer pay. So maybe what happened was we had a lot of work and we really weren't spending time delivering that exceptional customer service to follow up on those assignments or those estimates in a timely manner. I believe what's happening now is that this is going to force everyone to build best practices that will actually benefit them in the future as ADAS impacts. I kind of use the analogy that if you had about a pot of boiling water and you threw a frog in it, the frog would jump out because the water was hot. But if you had a pot of boiling water, a pot of cold water, and you put a frog in it and you gradually crank the heat up, eventually the frog unfortunately would boil to death. I think that was what was happening to our industry. I believe that every year claims count was declining, and we as an industry were like that frog in a pot of water, and we really weren't feeling it because of the fact that we had increased severity because of calibrations and scanning costs and things of that nature. And I think some of us would have woken up 3 or 4 or 5 years from now and been, oh my gosh, what happened? And we would have been on the verge of what we're seeing right now. So I think there's a silver lining to this, that capture rate is important and that shops will figure out how to do that. In addition, I also believe that the landscape of how we see insurance claims handled is absolutely going to change in the future. I believe that there are a lot of insurers that have probably micromanaged shops in the past in regards to how they manage their DRP networks or even non-DRP shops. And I think because of a lot of the self-quarantines, a lot of insurance companies are really realizing that they don't have to micromanage shops. Just let a shop fix the car and write the estimate. And I think they're going to find out that that is an option and they can be more trusting using data and analytics. So I believe the future will also change. I also believe that this will actually take and escalate the investment of insurers as well as OEMs into the use of technology through artificial intelligence, whether it's virtual re-inspections or photo estimating. So I think that this will push to the forefront trends that may have taken us 10 years to maybe embrace. I think that is happening now. In addition, I think it's no secret that car sales are down. People are not selling cars right now. If they are, it's very minimal right now during this challenging time. And because of the fact that we felt that ADAS would affect claims count by 3 to 4% every year, it would not surprise me is when we get through this, you see the federal government actually offer some type of incentive plan to help OEMs to sell more cars. So think about cash for clunkers or any of the incentives for electric vehicles. I could see the OEMs doing that. And if the federal government OEMs partner on incentives, then that curve that we thought was only going to be 2 to 4% every year to ADAS will actually start to expedite quite quickly. And if so, I think shops will definitely have to build best practices for capture rate and figure out how consumers can reach out to us through multiple channels. And that's something I would encourage everyone to do. Those days of just a customer calling you in order to inquire about your services or an estimate, we've got to have multiple channels for consumers to be able to reach out to us, much like what Dan Risley was sharing, and much like what Amazon, Uber, Netflix, and OpenTable offer today. And that is online scheduling. So I think there's a lot of things that we can absolutely do during this time. In addition, I absolutely believe the silver lining in this is that the entire industry will be reset. I think the entire industry will be reset, and I think that our industry is quite a bit behind in the use of technology, and we will see that. I also would like to kind of close out with a quote from my nephew, who's Naaman, who's now 21 years old. One time when I was very young and Naaman was young, we were actually both in a kayak, and we were kayaking. And when I say young, it's because I'm 58 now, right? At the time, I was probably in my 30s. And Naaman was about 7 or 8 at the time. We were kayaking, and he said, "You know what, Uncle Mike? It's not the strongest opponent that wins. It's the strongest willed." And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, those that have a positive outlook and are very strong-willed will absolutely make through this, and they will thrive and not just survive. I also believe that eventually what we will see is we will see the use of telematics and connected vehicles will escalate to the forefront, and I think it's exciting times ahead. So stay positive. And again, God bless everyone, and Ed, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mike. Our next speaker is Debbie Day, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Mitchell's Auto Physical Damage Division. Debbie Day joined Mitchell in May 2016 and is currently responsible for the auto property damage P&L and all divisional functions, including engineering, artificial intelligence, product management, insurance and repair sales and service, customer support, and vehicle authoring. Debbie holds a BS in Systems Analysis from Miami University and an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Ed and CIECA. It's an honor and privilege to address the industry in this challenging and unprecedented time. I've been thinking a lot about time lately. You may know that Mitchell is celebrating its 75th birthday this year. In 1946, Glenn Mitchell began collecting and writing how to repair vehicles. A lot has happened to our industry since then. Today, that repair information is available on any device with a browser, an iPad, a laptop, phone, or even smart glasses. Today's session focuses on how our industry is addressing the challenges created by the coronavirus, which is a very large topic indeed. To cover my perspective on the subject, I've broken it down into 3 sections: now, next, and the new normal. Finally, I hope to add some practical advice on how we can not only survive, but also thrive during this challenging time. Let's start with the now. It's hard to believe, but a little over 3 weeks ago, I was in Canada visiting a customer. None of us knew then how quickly things were about to change. So the focus of my remarks will be in North America, both US and Canada. Next, Mitchell is also a large provider of many other services to insurance carriers, such as workmen's compensation and auto casualty claims. I won't cover those today. My remarks will be related to auto physical damage, AKA our industry. First, in nearly all North American jurisdictions, financial institutions, insurance, and auto repair are considered essential businesses. And because Mitchell serves you, we are considered essential. Given this, we all face special responsibilities and challenges. Right after my return from Canada, Mitchell began implementing its business continuity plans in a new way. I say that because when we talk about continuity in California, we are typically reacting to earthquakes and fires. Our offices began practicing social distancing, which rapidly became work from home, which in many locations is now shelter in place. Mitchell's headquarters is in San Diego, California, and we have key offices in Texas, Washington State, Pennsylvania, and Utah. Our top 2 priorities then and now are keeping our employees safe and keeping our customers up and running. While our offices remain open, 100% of our auto physical damage employees are now working from home, including our technical assistants and total loss service centers. So in mid-March, it wasn't clear the what, the when, and how long. Of course, it is now known that it is critical to flatten the curve in order to combat COVID-19. Here in California, which some say has implemented the most stringent practices, the guidance is changing daily. To illustrate, I took the two pictures on the right on April 1st, the day I submitted these slides for the webinar. Here you have two signs. On the left, an auto repair location, which reminds us that they are open, and on the right, a sign indicating that all parks, beaches, and trails are closed. These signs are on the same street and are literally a few driveways away from each other on the 101, and neither sign was there last week. So when facing a shelter-in-place mandate, as we have here, there's some really good news and something we've never had in the history of a crisis: broad and secure internet access in our homes, and websites that our employees and customers can use to access production systems. Something else we are seeing with our customers, and thank goodness we've been working on both photo-based estimating and virtual claims handling over the last few years. These capabilities are critical to our customers during COVID. We are also seeing carriers and repairers trying new workflows to support their customers at a faster transition pace than we've ever seen. All this to support the important work our industry performs, and now virtually, from home, from branches, from repair facilities. In fact, just last week, insurance thought leadership said, COVID-19 will bring many challenges, but it may be the reset button for insurance innovation. With that thought, that wraps up the now. Let's turn our attention to next. What should we do and when? And what everyone wants to know is the answer to the unanswerable question, how long will this last? Look at the red-yellow graph in the upper right-hand corner. It is from a New York Times article entitled, "The Exponential Power of Now." The headline was, "The explosive spread of coronavirus can be turned to our advantage, but only if we intervene early." That means now. They said that on March 13th. So the short answer to the unanswerable question is that it depends on your location. For example, a story by NBC on April 1st compared death tolls in California and Louisiana hint at the urgency to flatten the curve. The article continued, in California and Louisiana, two of the states hardest hit by the coronavirus, the difference of a handful of days is starting to show just how important social distancing has been to limiting the spread of the pandemic. The disease is still spreading in both states, and the number of new cases and deaths reported each day is still climbing, but California is closer to flattening the curve. I read this morning that the next 2 weeks is absolutely critical for all of us. So if there's one thing I'd stress, it's that. You can find these projections by state and for the country overall on healthdata.org/projections. On this same site, Louisiana is expected to peak April 9th, but California not until April 26th, which means California will have more time and hopefully not overwhelm our healthcare and our first responders. And I know I'm speaking for all of us when I say that those same first responders are also our family and close friends. So that's number one thing you can do. Give our first responders the time they need by doing your part. Next, one of my core beliefs, although I'm not the author, and something I say all the time is, you are what you think about, so be careful what you think about. Which brings me to what we are reading and absorbing during this time. We've all read, and I won't spend time on, the fear-based reactions to COVID, such as hoarding. Fear can be driven by many things, but it is often a feeling of loss of control. So since no one knows the answer to the unanswerable question, I suggest we must control what we can control, that is, what is in our sphere of influence, which is we must do our part, we must help others, we must help others do their part. So when you think about it, much of what will happen next is up to us. I'll spend the rest of my time on what I think the new normal might look like and how we can take this opportunity to reinvent a reality that creates a new world for all of us. There are 4 trends that I think will be important as we create our new normal. The first is to double down on partnerships. At Mitchell, we talk a lot about partnering well. I really liked what the Ethical Corporation had to say on the topic of partnership. Finally, COVID-19 has demonstrated that no one can prosper alone. There is such a thing as society. We are all a part of it. Business is still light years ahead, away from the scale and pace of partnership required to create a new economic model in which the individual companies can win and lose, but only if all of society and the planet Earth prosper. 2, technology will accelerate to support a virtual world. We were on this path already, but it was narrower. We were talking more about virtual claims rather than virtual world. I could go on, but given cloud, 5G, which is coming here just in time, artificial intelligence, incorporating new things like live video into the processes, and moving computing to the edge, we need these new technologies to support the society of the future. 3, it's an opportunity to reimagine our industry. Given the challenges in airline travel, mass transit, and commuting, the role of the private passenger vehicle may change for a very long time. Some are even suggesting that frequency may go up at the end of this. The question for us, what can we do to get ready for this next generation of vehicles and consumer behavior? Finally, 4 is create your new normal as an individual. COVID-19 presents a tremendous challenge to our world. We are spending unprecedented time in unprecedented ways that were foreign to us only 1 month ago. It is up to all of us to keep the absolute best as we create our new normal. What are we going to do to be? I encourage you to be very, very intentional as you define your new pace, set the goals on which skills you will acquire, and determine how you can serve. Finally, as humans, my advice here is to stay connected to each other. My parents are in Ohio, peak date April 20th, and have Android devices. My sisters, Michigan, Illinois, and Ohio, peak dates April 9th and 20th, all have Apple devices. This week, we all loaded the Google Duo app. It's device agnostic. All you need to do is load the app and then make a Duo video phone call. I'm happy to report that family members from 4 states connected simultaneously. It was all on video, simple and fun, and connected. If you're on this call, you're a leader. You've invested an hour of your time to get prepared for what's next in our industry. I will close with 2 thoughts about our humanity. The first is a piece of inspiration that I love. It is not only positive, it says much more clearly everything that I've tried to. And the world came together as the people stayed apart. And finally, from the Atlantic, the coronavirus is running a massive social experiment on us all. The question, can each of us put aside our dreadful specialness long enough to slow this thing? Can we grit our teeth through the eerie nights to come? Do we trust our neighbors, the dudes on the corner, the first responders, the men living in the single room occupancy down the street to have our back? And can they trust us to have theirs? The answer has to be yes. I look forward to facing this challenge with you as industry leaders. Be safe, be kind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Our last speaker is Don Porter, CEO of United Recyclers Group. URG is comprised of 480 member recycling companies representing more than 675 locations in the U.S. and Canada. Don has more than 34 years of experience in the insurance industry and retired as a property and casualty claim consultant from State Farm Insurance Company's corporate office in Bloomington, Illinois in 2012. His passion for the recycled parts and salvage industries make him a valuable contributor to industry committees and business management information providers. Welcome, Don.
Thank you very much, Ed. I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this webinar. If I can get my cursor to work right, we'll be in good shape. You know, in April, which is this month, URG was to host our annual educational conference. We expected an attendance of over 700 at this point. And each year, as we come up with the conference theme that defines the direction, the content, and the message we are wanting to share with our members. So this year's conference theme was 2020 Vision, bring your business into focus. How true is that today? What's the old saying? Hindsight is 20/20. As the phrase implies, it's often easier to know the correct course of action after something's already happened. Who would have expected in 2019 that in 2020 we would be facing this crisis? The coronavirus outbreak is first and foremost a a human tragedy affecting hundreds of thousands of people. It is having a growing impact on the U.S. and global economies, and ultimately affecting small businesses of all kinds. How are businesses coping? I've seen quite a bit of information coming out from different businesses we've been associated with. Many organizations are reevaluating themselves, their operations, and trying to gain efficiencies in cutting costs. Executives are taking pay cuts and asking employees to do the same, or placing employees on furloughs. Companies are downsizing, letting go of non-essential and part-time employees. And some small businesses are just closing their doors for good. We had notice of 2 recyclers that just let us know last week that they're just shutting their doors. They're not going to reopen. What's the impact been on URG? February, URG ceased all employee travel. We began weekly customer educational webinars to keep in touch with our customer base. We canceled our annual educational conference for the safety of all and shifted our resource to work on business strategies to help our members continue business operations and to provide support for those operations. We increased our focus on technology and product development. And we developed a work from home business process to protect our employees while still providing quality customer service. We understand we will need to continue to adjust our business operations and business models through this crisis. What will it take to win the corona or the COVID-19 battle? And how do we navigate this crisis? And to me, it is a battle that we have to overcome and win. As a result of this crisis, our traditional metrics and assumptions have been rendered irrelevant. Will it be our turn to answer a question we once asked our grandparents? What did you do during the war? I read an article, Beyond the Coronavirus, The Path to the Next Normal, by Kevin Sneeder and Shuham Singhal of McKinsey & Company. The article suggested that there is a call for businesses to act across 5 stages, from the crisis of today to the next normal after the virus is beaten. And these stages include resolve, resilience, return, reimagination, and reform. Resolve. We need to address the immediate challenges that COVID-19 represents to our institutional workforce. And one of the main things we need to look at is communication standards and how we're going to complete and keep communication flowing to the members of our organization. We need to address the challenges of our customers, to help and support those customers as we can. We need to technology and look at new technology for tomorrow. And can we establish and work on new technology today to get us through this process? And we need to look and address our business partners. We need to take care of our business partners and work to ensure their and for their survival. Resilience. We need to address the near-term cash management challenges and broader resiliency issues during the virus and the virus-related shutdowns and economic knock-on effects. We return. Created a detailed plan to return businesses to scale and do it quickly as COVID-19 evolves and the knock-on effects become clearer. Reimagination, as Debbie said. Reimagine the next normal. What a discontinuous shift looks like and the implications for how the institution should reinvent itself. And reform. Be clear about how regulatory and competitive environments in the industry may shift. Collectively, these 5 stages may represent the imperative of our time. The battle against COVID-19 is one that leaders today must win to find an economically and socially viable path to the next normal. We need to remember that the next normal may be different than past normal. We need to be able to adapt our business philosophy and operational model to the new normal. New federal regulations. You need to understand the complex interplay between FFCRA and the CARES Act. On April 1st, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act went into effect, requiring employers with under 500 employees to provide emergency sick time and family leave pay to employees who cannot work or telework due to a documented need related to COVID-19. Employers who do so are eligible for a fully equivalent tax credit or refund equal to the required sick leave paid. It's dollar for dollar. At the same time, under the Corona Antivirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act, businesses may be eligible for tax credit, deferred tax payments, and or loans through the Paycheck Protection Program. And as always, thorough risk, benefit, and financial analysis should be done by each business to decide the most effective strategy to follow. Remember, all of us going through this crisis together. We all are in it together. We need to try to work together to make sure all businesses survive. It took all of us to make this industry great, and it will take all of us to restore that greatness after the battle is won and the crisis is over. You know, I started out this presentation and talking about vision and our Vision 2020 philosophy and conference theme. I thought it might be good to end with quotes from visionaries throughout history. Maybe these quotes will inspire us and give us some hope for a brighter future. If you can dream it, you can do it. From Walt Disney. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. Michelangelo. Vision is the art of seeing things invisible. Think about that. Jonathan Swift. And vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Vision without execution is hallucination. And the last one, vision animate, it inspires, and it transforms purpose into action. I want to thank Ed and CIECA for allowing me to participate, and I also would like to wish all of you well as we fight the COVID-19 battle together.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Ed.
And thank you to all our presenters. Our next CIECAST will be on Tuesday, May 19th at 11 a.m. Central Time. Brent Johnson, Director of Global Product Management for Collision at VSG, will be discussing ADAS calibrations, do it right, and document what you do. Don't forget to check CIECA.com for a full schedule of future broadcasts and to watch recordings of past webinars. Links are available under the CIECAST tab at the top of the page. CIECA has partnered with the Automotive Management Institute. Attendees interested in receiving credit for this webinar should email AMI at supportingsuccess@amionline.org and provide their contact information and mention code MyAMI to receive 1 hour credit. Please follow CIECA's social media platforms to stay up to date on upcoming events and CIECA news. We hope you have enjoyed the broadcast. Please take care of yourself and your loved ones. Stay safe and healthy. There is no better time to help your neighbors and coworkers to stand together and make our industry stronger for the days to come. Thank you. This concludes today's webinar.